Okay, hello everyone. Thanks for joining us for Eat Local Month. My name's Monique DeGiorgio. I am the managing director of Local First. We're a nonprofit here in Durango that supports the local independent business community, and we're celebrating Eat Local Month. It was the Harvest Dinner last year, which is an event of about 150 people. So we decided to take the COVID theme and expand it over a month, and we're doing a theme each week and a three-course meal each week. So our theme this week is wasted opportunities. So I'm really pleased to be here with Robert Bogatin, who's with Good Business Colorado and Resilient Restaurants, and Hannah Trim, who is with Table to Farm Compost. Thanks for joining us, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We also have a couple guests. Blaine here is with In the Weeds, who is a sponsor and a really critical partner of our efforts. And we also have Bridget, who is joining us with the Good Food Collective and working on the last week, which we'll kind of preview here in a few minutes. So what we wanted to do was just introduce you to the event, talk a little bit with our guests, and then probably tantalize you with the meal tonight, which you have had, and then maybe our other participants in subsequent weeks can hear about, and hopefully have others join us. And then we also were going to end with giving you a preview of the next 3 weeks. So to begin, Eat Local Month is an effort of Local First. However, we would not have been able to do this without the support of In the Weeds and our sponsors, which are Sante and Durango Land and Homes, as well as Resilient Restaurants, which is a sponsor, and Good Food Collective. So thank you to all those folks. And of course, every participating restaurant that you can find on our website. So this week, wasted opportunities, we were focusing on really the movement, I'd say, not only locally, but statewide and maybe even nationally, to really reduce food waste, what the impact of food waste is on the environment, on our community, on individuals, and really just that wasted opportunity. So that's our theme. Let's start by talking with Resilient Restaurants, Robert, and really telling us about your program and how you fit into this week's theme, Robert.
Yeah, thank you. Everything sounds pretty delicious going on down there. Wish I could join you. And yeah, so Resilient Restaurants is a nonprofit program of Good Business Colorado, and I am basically creating a peer working group of all dining establishments throughout the state. And we are trying to accelerate the adoption of our values-driven business model and best practices to basically bring environmental sustainability and social equity into Colorado's food service industry. So I know you want me to talk a little bit about food waste in general and what restaurants can do and what some of the opportunities are. And there's, a big opportunity for customers and their favorite restaurants and cafes and breweries to be able to actually start to dialogue and develop resources in your community to do a better job. There's a lot of overlap there and a lot of shared value. So I'll just share with you a little bit about what restaurants can do and definitely what some of our members are doing. The most important piece is for a restaurant owner is that you have to look at food waste from a back of house or kitchen perspective, and then you have to have a front of house or dining service table side perspective. So in the back of house, in the kitchen, a lot of restaurants are starting to look at using imperfect produce and regular menu prep food scraps to create higher margin items. And in general, they should be trying to use all of their raw ingredients to the fullest extent that they can. And then at the end of the day, we want to compost everything else we can't use. So capturing food waste, though, on the table service side is a little bit more complicated and generally a separate process altogether. Each restaurant has to consider the way it will structure a compost program that's customer facing, especially since if you put the wrong items in a compost bin, it's going to contaminate that waste stream, and nobody wants to ruin all the hard efforts you put into launching a program like this. So I think it's really up to each restaurant to just make a commitment to start composting in the kitchen no matter what. I think everybody should just get started. And in the front of house, to take some time, and once they dial in their back of house composting program and they feel pretty solid with that, then they can open it up and start to engage customers, let them know what they're doing and that they're composting in the kitchen, and really see what the best way to launch that in the front of house would be. I know one of the other things that we want to talk about is the takeout containers. And that leads me to why Resilient Restaurants sponsored the Eat Local event, because one of our sustainable dining program components is called a reusable dinnerware lending program. And so for an individual restaurant, that's a little different, but for a community, that's what I'm so excited about to be pilot projecting with you and Local First. So we basically have provided all of the takeout containers that are washable and reusable takeout containers that everybody's enjoying their meal on this Friday and for the next subsequent 3 Fridays. And so you'll be collecting them and then reusing them again each week. And your community will be able to make use of this collection of dinnerware, not just during the event, but Local First gets to manage this set of reusables. And now your community has an asset that you can use for other events and festivals, and use this collection as a lending program throughout the year. So we're really excited to kind of see the community, positive feedback about the program, and to work out kinks and how we can make it work more efficiently, and really just keep as much single-use disposables out of our waste stream as possible. So when I talk to individual restaurants, we want to encourage them washing reusables in their service as much as possible. And it's always a better option than single-use disposables. But when you have to use disposables, try to do some research and make the best, decision you can in terms of what items you need to get, and look at the production footprint and what your customer is going to be able to do with that container when it's done. And that's one of the things I'd like you to talk to folks about, because that's one of the more misunderstood aspects of composting throughout the state, is knowing that depending on where you live, you may or may not have access to commercial compost facilities that accept these single-use compostable containers. So.
Well said. Well, thank you so much to you, Robert, for all your help putting this event on, and to Good Business Colorado and Resilient Restaurants. And that's a great segue to introduce Hannah Trim, who's on the spot because she's with Table to Farm Compost. I'm also the co-owner of Table to Farm Compost, and will step in to help in any regard. But I think Hannah is very well equipped to just let our community tonight know what Table to Farm Compost is and what role they're playing with this event. Go ahead, Hannah.
Thanks, Monique. So with Table to Farm Compost, we primarily offer a curbside composting service in Durango and some of the surrounding area. And so a lot of that is for individual households, so more on the smaller scale. And I do want to throw out right in the beginning that we're already talking about composting, but one of the first steps to minimizing waste is to plan your meals and minimize waste before you even create it. So if we're thinking about what we're going to have for dinner, if we can be really thoughtful about how many servings we actually need, then we're not even creating as much waste to begin with. And then, of course, some waste will be generated regardless. And just like Robert said, if we can take that waste and compost it, then we're taking our trash and turning it into an asset that can be really valuable for a whole community, for agriculture, for soils, just for our climate in general as well. And I do want to make a note about the compostable containers, because this is sometimes the bane of our existence, but there are so many containers now that say compostable, which is true in a certain sense, but we really need a certain type of facility in order to break those down. And the type of composting that we do, it just doesn't get hot enough to break them down, because if we got it to that temperature, we would actually kill all of the bugs and microbes living in the compost that are doing the important work for us of breaking down our trash and turning it into something usable and nutritious for soil going forward. And Monique, I'm sure you have plenty more to say on that topic.
That's a great introduction, and the word of the day is thermophilic. A lot of folks might know vermicomposting and using our little friends to compost, but the compost piles here in Durango use temperature, as Hannah mentioned, to kill all those nasties in the compost or in the food waste, but at the same time creating this rich product at the end that really can help grow more food. So it's this full cycle. And I will just give a shout out that Table to Farm Compost is giving the first month free to anyone that's participating tonight. If you missed out on it, you can still sign up at tabletofarmcompost.com. You just put the code FIRST, F-I-R-S-T, in when it asks for a code, and you'll get that first month off. And we're happy to do that at any time frame here for anyone who's signed up to help you reduce your food waste. Couple of other thoughts on food waste as it relates to climate and carbon. So we at Table to Farm Compost really see ourselves as climate activists, and I think the thing that maybe compost gets a bad rap for being like stinky, smelly, something, and really to really explain the process is that what we do at Table to Farm is we mix food scraps, which is a very, very highly valuable rich food waste, so to speak. A lot of compost is made out of manure. Ours is made 100% from organics. We recycle those organics and we mix it with wood waste, which from the Durango Wood Company would have gone into the landfill anyway. And this carbon and nitrogen together in the right ratio creates this awesome environment that Hannah was talking about for the microbial process. And what we do is we manage that. We manage what nature would already do and kind of speed it up. We monitor those temperatures, and at the end you have this incredibly rich, not soil, but it's really a compost is an additive, right? It's a nutrient that helps us to grow more food. And the interesting thing too is that when we put that compost on our plants, it sequesters carbon. The plants actually bring that carbon down into their roots. So at the same time that we're reducing food waste and reducing methane, because we're not putting food waste into a covered landfill, which is creating methane, which is a really potent greenhouse gas, right? We're taking it out of that landfill, putting it in a pile and creating this really nutrient-rich amendment. And then when you put that back in the ground, you're sequestering the carbon. So there's this whole full cycle. And I think those of us that start taking that food waste out of the trash process start to realize what a valuable thing it is, as Hannah mentioned. So that's a little introduction. Hopefully over the next 4 weeks here, we can get more people composting, and it's really easy when the first month is free. So feel free to check it out. I believe I wanted to just brag a little bit about the menu tonight. So the appetizer was prepared by Dandelion Cafe. Allison Dance gave me that menu just moments ago. It's a beet and potato gratin with Tierra Vita beets, Fields to Plate potatoes, and James Ranch Layden and Breen Mesa Chev. Amazing. The entree is prepared by Preemy Pasta and Wine Bar. There's a sage pappardelle with a lamb ragu, James Ranch Belford, and a Sutcliffe wine that looks like a red blend, which sounds really yummy. And the dessert, not dessert. The dessert is by Cream Bean and Berry, and it's a plum parfait, which if I know Katie, she absolutely made this with plums that have been gleaned from trees around Durango, because that's typically what she does this time of year, which is a great example of the wasted opportunity theme. She's made all kinds of ice cream from fruits around Durango that the Good Food Collective, who is the beneficiary tonight of our nonprofit giving. So $5 of every ticket is going to the Good Food Collective. And they organize that gleaned fruit and getting it into the hands of folks like Katie to make really yummy ice cream, and getting into the hands of really anyone in the community that wants to use it as a resource. So hats off to Good Food Collective and all they do for our community. Robert, is there anything else you want to say about resilient restaurants before we say goodnight to the community?
I guess I would just encourage the statement that I made before about, just customers engaging their favorite restaurants and trying to work together to push the needle for us to be able to have deeper dialogues on what serves us better and how we can create solutions that really benefit Durango and other communities.
Yeah, and I just want to remind folks that Robert's based in Denver. Good Business Colorado is an awesome resource for us. We are far away from the state capital, and Good Business Colorado are value-aligned businesses that are very similar to Local First. In fact, I think the executive director, Deborah, was telling me that every single one of your members that's down here is a Local First member. So it's really cool for us in Durango to have this policy connection in Denver, and we really appreciate you guys kind of linking us into what's going statewide and being a part of this. So thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you. Absolutely. It's really important that we, even just as I'm working with restaurants and people in food and beverage, what the experiences are in our mountain towns and Western Slope is very different than the I-25 Front Range corridor. And one size does not fit all when it comes to sustainability. You really have to be adaptive to what the local conditions are. So really appreciate working with you.
Thank you. Anna, any final words with Table to Farm Compost?
I'm really excited to see hopefully more people signing up. It's such an easy thing to do, and we have many customers already, and we have room for many more. So if you're not posting yet, please do. You can be part of the great Green Bucket Club.
How could you resist that smile? Say yes, sign up today, and you get your first month free. I'm going to just give a little preview here at the end of what the next 3 weeks have to offer, so folks know we have a little bit of room. We've got about half of our space filled for the next 3 weeks, and you do have to sign up a week in advance. So if any of this sounds interesting to you, and I got to tell you, after looking at the menu tonight, you want to sign up, go ahead and go to local-first.org and sign up for week 2. The theme being local agriculture. The restaurants we're highlighting are Zia Taqueria, Backcountry Gourmet, Serious Delights, and then Union Social House for a really yummy cocktail. The group that's going to benefit that week, I believe, is potentially, In the Weeds. No, that's week 3. Slow Food Money is week 2, and the value added product is from Turtle Lake Refuge. It's crackers, cookies, and truffles. Week 3 is In the Weeds, talking about social and workplace support for mental health, and they are the beneficiary of that week. The restaurants are Manna, the Embassy, Or House, and Bookcase and Barber, which is also going to be a pretty yummy cocktail if you're into that. And week 4 is Creative Cooking with Harvest Surplus. The restaurants that we are featuring are El Moro, Itzawadi, Smiley Cafe, where I happen to be right now as the sun is setting, and the beneficiary is Good Food Collective. And that week we're going to have dried apple chips as the value added product. So there's lots of good stuff still to come on that note. I think the sun has set on me, and we're really happy for all the folks that participated tonight and hope that more will sign up. And I just want to give a real big shout out to Blaine. I'm going to put you on the spot because we couldn't have done this without In the Weeds. Do you want to say a few things?
Thank you so much, and it's been awesome being a part of this and getting an event going again. I've lost so many events, and it was awesome being out there tonight and talking with folks and how they're glad to see that we're doing something, and I think the chefs have been excited too, and just gives breaks up the monotony of day to day. Even though it's not the same harvest dinner as last year, it's great to have something, and I think we all need this, and on all parts, whether you're participating or helping organize. So
yeah, and just to let the folks know that are watching, Blaine has been instrumental in really connecting us to the restaurant community. There is a lot that goes on behind the yummy meals that we're making. So thanks so much for that. Everybody have a great Friday and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.